America poured billions of taxpayer dollars into building massive, state-of-the-art airports designed to move tens of millions of travelers every year. But in 2025, these futuristic giants of glass and steel are barely moving at all. Terminals that once overflowed with passengers now sit half-empty. Long corridors echo with silence. And every single day, the financial losses keep piling up. Airport shops have seen their sales collapse by more than $500 million. Parking revenue has plunged 40%, and cargo shipments worth tens of billions have vanished almost overnight. So what went wrong? A big part of the answer lies in the tariff policies introduced under Donald Trump, which ignited a fierce trade war. The retaliation that followed suffocated American exports, scared away international visitors, and drained the flow of travelers that once filled these hubs. Airports that used to stand as symbols of American strength have now turned into billion-dollar ghost cathedrals, impressive in size, but hauntingly empty. Today, we're counting down the 10 U.S. airports that travelers have practically abandoned. Number 10. Charlotte Douglas International Airport, North Carolina. In the heart of North Carolina, Charlotte Douglas used to stand as one of the South's greatest success stories. Today, it tells a very different one, a quiet slowdown no one saw coming. Once ranked among America's 10 busiest airports with nearly 53 million passengers a year, it faces a stunning collapse in 2025. Traffic has plunged by 30%. What's behind this freefall? A sharp decline in domestic travel and an almost complete disappearance of international visitors. Airlines are pulling back fast. American Airlines, the dominant force in Charlotte, has cut 18% of its daily flights. More than 90 departures wiped out every single week. And of course, the local economy is taking a direct hit. Tourism, which used to inject over $7.4 billion annually into the region, is falling apart. Hotel bookings are down 27%, airport retailers are reporting revenue losses nearing 45%, and restaurants that once overflowed with connecting passengers now shut their doors long before nightfall. Employees say the airport that used to buzz with life during rush hour now feels like a slow Sunday morning, every day of the week. But the impact doesn't stop at the terminal doors. Charlotte's financial sector and business travel, two pillars of the city's growth, are also weakening. Corporate travel has dropped 33% as companies face budget cuts, layoffs, and higher interest rates. The once thriving convention scene is collapsing as well. 22 major events have been canceled, wiping out nearly $480 million in expected spending. Even cargo isn't spared. Freight volumes are down 15%, a clear sign that broader U.S. demand is slowing. For a city that proudly called itself the hub of the New South, the symbolic blow is harsh. At night, the airport lights still shine brightly, but the atmosphere feels strangely empty. Boarding announcements echo through half-filled halls. Charlotte is still standing, still proud, but uncertain, as if waiting for flights that may never return in the numbers they once did. A place once synonymous with endless connections now feels like a terminal where momentum has come to a halt. Number 9. Salt Lake City International Airport, Utah. In 2025, Salt Lake City's brand new airport, a $4.1 billion project once touted as a modern marvel, has become a vast, echoing void. Built to welcome 34 million passengers a year, it now sees fewer than 20 million. A jaw-dropping 41% drop that has left local leaders stunned. The bright terminals that once swarmed with skiers, hikers, and international visitors arriving for Sundance now feel like a giant, silent concrete cathedral. Tourism, one of Utah's strongest economic engines, has simply collapsed. Delta, the airport's dominant airline, has slashed 22% of its schedule and cut routes to major cities like Chicago, Atlanta, and even Los Angeles. Long-haul flights to Paris and Amsterdam quietly disappeared due to low demand. And the fallout is massive. A tourism sector that once generated $12.3 billion a year is expected to lose nearly $3.8 billion in 2025. Park City hotels are seeing reservations drop 35%, ski resorts are losing 28% of their visitors, and car rentals are down 30%. Tens of thousands of hospitality workers are facing layoffs. Airport shops alone are reporting nearly $90 million in losses. Inflation only makes things worse. Flights to Utah are now 19% more expensive. Hotels have become unaffordable for many families. And with weaker exchange rates, international travelers have simply stopped coming. Even Americans are choosing cheaper destinations. The crossroads of the West, as the airport liked to call itself, is discovering just how fragile that crossroads can be. The sweeping halls built for endless growth are now nearly deserted. Planes sit idle on the tarmac. Security lines, once notorious for their long waits, now take only minutes. Utah dreamed of becoming the next Denver, but reality has hit hard. Even a cutting-edge airport can't survive in a world that stopped traveling. Number 8. Boston Logan International Airport, Massachusetts. The story of Boston Logan in 2025 feels eerily similar to some of the darkest moments in its past. This airport, once full of students, European tourists, and New England business travelers, is facing one of its steepest declines since 2001. Passenger traffic has dropped 32% in just a year. Nearly 10 million travelers gone.
Why?
A perfect storm: shrinking tourism, economic pressure, and soaring flight prices. A round-trip international ticket from Boston now averages $1,045 compared to $780 before, a 34% spike that keeps countless families from traveling. Flight cancellations are up 40% from 2023. Airlines like British Airways, JetBlue, and Delta have significantly scaled back their routes to Europe. For Massachusetts, the consequences are severe. Tourism, once worth $24 billion a year, may fall below $16 billion in 2025. At Logan, airport stores are seeing revenue drop 43%, and parking losses have already surpassed $57 million. Hotels, taxis, guided tours, all expect more than 18,000 job losses. Even sectors normally immune to downturns, such as universities and biotech, are feeling the strain, with international student enrollment dropping 15%. Travel from Asia and the Middle East is also collapsing. Qatar Airways, for example, no longer operates its daily flight to Doha. It now runs only 4 times per week. Terminal E, the core of Logan's international operations, captures the moment perfectly. Its long glass walkways, once filled with crowds arriving from London or Rome, now shine under bright lights, but in near total silence. To many locals, this slump isn't just a transportation issue. It feels like part of Boston's identity is fading. The gateway to New England, a place known for its global connections, has lost its movement, its rhythm, its pulse. Boston is still a city rich in history and innovation. But at Logan, the vibrant hum of the world has quieted into little more than echoes of what used to be. Number 7. Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, Arizona. Phoenix Sky Harbor once proudly called itself America's friendliest airport. But in 2025, that slogan feels almost ironic. What used to be a bustling gateway in the middle of the desert, packed with tourists, snowbirds, and business travelers, now echoes like a giant empty chamber, reflecting the broader economic slowdown. This airport, which used to handle more than 48 million passengers a year, has seen its traffic collapse by 31%. Entire terminals are barely active, and some jet bridges sit untouched under the scorching Arizona sun. Airlines aren't sugarcoating the situation. American Airlines and Southwest, together responsible for over 70% of all flights, have cut more than 160 weekly departures since May. International traffic is declining even faster. Routes to Mexico City and London have been slashed by half, and the seasonal service to Frankfurt has been put on indefinite pause due to weak demand. Financially, the blow is brutal. Arizona's tourism sector, valued at $28 billion in 2023, is on track to lose more than $7.2 billion this year. Hotels in Phoenix and Scottsdale can barely reach 59% occupancy, convention bookings have cratered by 38%, and some Terminal 4 restaurants are reporting revenue drops of 45%. Parking losses alone have reached $41 million in just 6 months. And the crisis extends far beyond the airport's footprint. Tens of thousands of workers, baggage handlers, hotel staff, drivers, have had their hours cut or fear losing their jobs altogether. State tourism officials estimate that 25,000 jobs could disappear if this trend continues. Adding to the challenge, Arizona's explosive growth, from relocations to tech investments, has slammed into inflation, rising airfare costs, and shrinking consumer purchasing power. And the brutal heat waves, often topping 46 degrees Celsius (115 degrees Fahrenheit), only make things worse, discouraging visitors and forcing flight delays due to aircraft performance limits. The grand gateway of the desert now feels more like a mirage, impressive on the outside, but hollow within. At night, the distant roar of departing aircraft sounds less like a sign of progress, and more like a fading memory. Number 6. Chicago O'Hare International Airport, Illinois. O'Hare has always been one of America's crown jewels in aviation, an icon of movement and connectivity. But in 2025, the airport is in the middle of severe turbulence. Passenger numbers have plunged from 76 million to under 49 million, a staggering 36% drop that would have seemed unthinkable for such a critical hub. Terminals that once overflowed with travelers from around the world now echo with announcements that no one is around to hear. The reasons pile up: a global tourism downturn, skyrocketing fuel costs, and economic strain across the Midwest. Compared to 2023, O'Hare has lost 1 out of every 4 international flights. Routes to Beijing, Paris, and Dubai have been suspended. United Airlines, the main player here, has cut its operations by 17% due to profitability issues. The financial impact is enormous. Since January, industries tied to travel, hotels, restaurants, taxis, have seen a combined $4.6 billion evaporate in Chicago. Airport retailers have watched sales fall by 42%, while duty-free shops report a 58% collapse, largely because international passengers have dwindled. Even cargo, a lifeline in previous downturns, is shrinking. Volumes are down 19%, signaling weakened trade and manufacturing. Citywide, tourism losses could exceed $6.8 billion by the end of the year. Fewer tips, fewer bookings, more layoffs. Economists warn that if traffic doesn't rebound by next summer, Chicago could lose 35,000 jobs, a devastating blow for a city already struggling with crime and population decline. The famous neon tunnel at O'Hare still glows, but the travelers walking through it are fewer than ever. TSA lines that used to stretch endlessly now consist of empty stanchions and silent scanners. The stillness is more unsettling than any storm-delayed flight. For decades, O'Hare represented ambition, commerce, and motion. Today, it stands as a reminder of how even the busiest crossroads can fall quiet when the world stops traveling. Number 5. Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, SeaTac, Washington. The rain still falls over Seattle, but the rhythm at its airport has slowed dramatically. SeaTac, once one of the fastest-growing airports in North America, is enduring a disastrous 2025. Passenger traffic has plunged by 35%, meaning nearly 14 million travelers have vanished compared to normal years. For an airport that broke records just 2 summers ago, the quiet is striking. This decline didn't come out of nowhere. The region depended heavily on visitors from Asia. But with arrivals from Japan, China, and South Korea dropping by 48%, dozens of international routes have been axed. Delta and Alaska Airlines alone have cut 120 weekly flights after facing chronically low load factors. Cargo isn't providing relief either. Freight volumes are down 21% since January, a clear sign of weakening global trade. The financial consequences across Washington state are severe. Tourism, which once brought in $22.1 billion a year, could lose $6.4 billion by the end of 2025. Hotel occupancy has dipped below 58%, a level not seen since 2020. Restaurants, already strained by high operating costs, are closing at an accelerated pace. Airport businesses have lost $67 million in just 6 months. The Port of Seattle is projecting a $900 million deficit before 2025 comes to a close. Beyond the numbers, morale has taken a hit. SEA was a model of innovation, solar roofs, automation, sustainability. Now, those futuristic halls feel like polished ghost corridors. The International Arrivals Hall, usually bursting with activity, is nearly empty. Customs officers scroll on their phones, waiting for passengers who never show up. Business travel is collapsing too. Layoffs at Amazon, Microsoft, and Boeing, totaling more than 40,000 jobs, have gutted corporate travel demand. The airport that once opened Seattle to the world now reflects a regional recession. At dusk, the control tower still casts its glow over the foggy skyline, but far fewer aircraft break through the clouds. The constant hum that connected Seattle to the rest of the planet has faded into nothing more than the sound of rain and emptiness. SeaTac, once the gateway to the Pacific, has become the gateway to growing uncertainty. Number 4. Denver International Airport, Colorado. There was a time when Denver's airport stood proudly as the gateway to the mile-high city, a massive, living machine built to move people in every direction. But in 2025, that same giant feels strangely frozen in place. Passenger traffic has collapsed by 33%, wiping out more than 20 million travelers in just 12 months. And for a state that depends heavily on tourism, that drop feels like an earthquake. Every corner of the airport feels the shock. United and Southwest, the two airlines that once dominated the runways, have eliminated over 200 weekly flights. Routes to Toronto, Cancun, Munich, all shelved indefinitely. Ticket prices have jumped 22%, forcing countless families to rethink their summer vacations. Add in jet fuel nearing $3.95 a gallon, and long-haul flights simply don't make financial sense anymore. Airlines are cutting even deeper as a result. Tourism used to pump $27 billion into Colorado each year, but experts now predict losses reaching $7.5 billion by December. Ski resorts, which rely heavily on international winter travelers, are watching bookings fall by 31%. Downtown Denver hotels struggle to stay above 55% occupancy. Airport shops are down 46%, and more than 5,000 concession workers have already been laid off. Even the massive Great Hall renovation, a $2.1 billion project meant to transform the airport, now feels like a painful reminder of better days. Brand new terminals gleam under cold lights, but hardly anyone walks through them. TSA lines that used to stretch endlessly now clear in minutes. And the familiar roar of constant takeoffs has faded, with 400 fewer daily aircraft movements compared to last summer. For locals, the downturn hits deeply. This airport wasn't just infrastructure, it was proof that Denver had grown into a global city. Now, as the Rockies shimmer on the horizon, residents are left watching an economy built on travel and conventions slowly crumble. The echoes in the hallways are unsettling. Where organized chaos once ruled, you can now hear your footsteps. Even a city perched a mile above sea level can fall surprisingly hard. Number 3. Orlando International Airport, Florida. This is where magic vacations began, the first stop before Mickey ears, roller coasters, and family memories. But in 2025, Orlando International Airport, better known as MCO, feels eerily still, as if someone pressed pause on the entire city. Traffic has plunged 39%, meaning nearly 23 million missing passengers in under a year. In a city built entirely around theme parks and family trips, the impact is devastating. The biggest hit comes from international travel. Arrivals from the UK, Brazil, and Canada have dropped 47% since January. British Airways and Air Canada have slashed dozens of weekly flights. Disney World is welcoming 26% fewer visitors. Universal Orlando is down 29%. And hotel occupancy has sunk to 54%, something Orlando hasn't seen in more than a decade. Terminals B and C, usually bursting with strollers, resort shuttles, and bright suitcases, now feel like scenes left behind after closing time. Financially, the hole is massive. Florida's tourism industry, worth $125 billion, could lose $30 billion this year, with Orlando responsible for nearly a third of that collapse. Airport shops are down 49%, parking revenue is missing $60 million, and nearly 2,800 employees have lost their jobs. Expansion projects frozen. And the reason is painfully simple. Families just can't afford it anymore. Flights to Orlando are up 31%, hotel prices up 22%, and a dream vacation is becoming an unreachable luxury. If the trend continues, more than 70,000 jobs could disappear this year. The same halls that once echoed with children's laughter and Mickey balloons now carry only the distant rumble of a few rolling suitcases. The Sunshine State is slipping into shadow. And for many families, the happiest place on earth is quietly becoming a dream too expensive and unsettlingly quiet. Number 2. Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, California. There was a time when LAX felt like the beating heart of global travel, a golden gateway to the Pacific, where 88 million people crossed paths every year. But in 2025, that pulse has weakened dramatically. Passenger traffic is down 36%, erasing 32 million travelers and plunging one of the world's most iconic airports into an uneasy stillness. The fall of LAX mirrors the broader collapse of American tourism. Flights from Asia, Tokyo, Beijing, Seoul are down 52%. Airlines like ANA, China Eastern, and Korean Air have cut or suspended routes. Even flights from Europe have dropped 29%, and business travel tied to Hollywood has nearly evaporated. The financial losses are staggering. California's tourism economy, once worth $150 billion, could lose $38 billion this year. Airport shops are down 51%, parking revenue has plunged by $78 million, and airline operations have shrunk by 28%. Over 40,000 jobs around the airport are now at risk. Fuel prices over $4 a gallon, stricter visa policies, inflation, and rising crime near airport corridors all make Los Angeles a less appealing destination. Searches like "vacation in Los Angeles" on travel sites have dropped 23%. Even Hollywood, once a magnet for international tourists, is struggling with production delays and labor disputes. At night, the iconic LAX theme building still glows, but the terminals built for tidal waves of travelers now stand half empty. Lines that used to snake endlessly for flights to London or Sydney have shrunk to a handful of passengers under flickering screens. The city of stars is dimming, and its airport has become one of the clearest signs of its fading allure. Number 1. John F. Kennedy International Airport, JFK, New York. At the top of the list is JFK, once the defining gateway to the United States. Today, it feels like a shadow of itself. The airport used to handle 62 million passengers, but in 2025, traffic has collapsed by 43%, leaving nearly 27 million travelers missing. International flights, which make up 70% of JFK's activity, have taken the hardest hit, falling by half. British Airways, Emirates, Lufthansa, all have cut 30% to 40% of their capacity. Dozens of flights vanish from the schedule every week. Delta's massive Terminal 4, once overflowing with crowds, now has long rows of empty counters. Economically, the blow is severe. New York's tourism industry, worth $74 billion, may lose $21 billion this year. Manhattan hotels are stuck at 56% occupancy. Airport retail is down 52%. Even taxi drivers are suffering. Rides are down 46%, leaving thousands without income. But beyond the financial hit lies something deeper. The world simply isn't coming to America the way it once did. Inflation, visa delays, and a strong dollar are pushing visitors elsewhere. And at home, Americans themselves are traveling less, weighed down by over $18 trillion in household debt. Walking through JFK today feels surreal. The mosaic globe in Terminal 5 still shines, but the seats around it sit empty. For decades, this airport symbolized arrivals, hope, fresh starts. In 2025, it represents something very different: the slow unraveling of a nation that once dominated global travel. The airport that connected continents now feels strangely disconnected from its own past. And it's here, at JFK, that many finally realize the truth. America isn't drawing the world the way it used to.